Welcome to the Mount Pleasant Podcast, featuring discussions and interviews about the people, places, and events that make Mount Pleasant such a special place.
This is the Mount Pleasant Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Cleary, and all thanks to the great people at Mount Pleasant Magazine, I get the honor and the privilege of introducing you to Mount Pleasant, the people who make it such a special place to do business, to work, and even to live. We're introducing you to Mount Pleasant's best on the Mount Pleasant Podcast. You've heard the term PI. Thank you very much, Tom Selleck, Magnum PI. Today, I'm going to introduce you to a PIO. It's Brian Cleary today on Mount Pleasant Podcast. We're joined by Inspector Donald Calabrese with the Mount Pleasant Police Department. Inspector Calabrese, you're a PIO. What is that?
I am. Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and good to see you again. We've worked a lot over the years. I am the Public Information Officer, the PIO here at the Mount Pleasant Police Department.
And so in your role as the Public Information Officer, does that mean you're dealing with everyone? You're dealing with media? What is it that you have to accomplish on a daily basis?
Help everybody be as informed as they can. So that public information comes in a lot of different ways, definitely through our news media, but also our social media, keeping our officers informed about what's going on in the public. So here as the Public Information Officer, I'm kind of communicating with everybody internally and outside the agency.
Well, let's talk about you a little bit, if you don't mind. Give people somewhat on your background. Originally, you're from where?
I grew up in New Jersey and worked for some police departments up there before I moved here in 2007. And I've been with the Mount Pleasant Police Department for the last 15 years. May 7th was my anniversary.
Well, happy anniversary. A lot of people have different reasons for making the trek from Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, wherever it is, down to South Carolina. What is it that brought you to the Palmetto State?
The Mount Pleasant Police Department. I was at a college and working at some of these police departments part-time and looking at elsewhere for law enforcement agencies. So I had applied to the Delaware State Police and Charleston Police Department and Mount Pleasant Police Department. And when I got here, it was just that family feeling that I would have wanted in a career, and was hired and went through the police academy and everything that a new officer does. And then the community just embraced me, just like they do all of our officers here. And it's been a great fit and a great 15 years so far.
And let's be honest, I've spent some time on the Jersey Shore in New Jersey. The winters and the beaches, much better down here.
They are, absolutely. I worked for some good places up there in that part-time capacity, and they got me that desire to continue with it as a full-time career. But I'm happy to be down here and working here at Mount Pleasant. And the last 15 years feel like they have flown by. Like I said, I started like everybody else, but I've had some unique opportunities here at the police department to work in different roles. The last 2 years as the Public Information Officer has been really good because you get to kind of work across the department, across the town, across the community. So I've been a part of things that I would not have on the road as a patrol officer. And before the opportunity came to be in the office as the Public Information Officer, I was on the road as a patrol sergeant supervising the patrol team, which was a good opportunity to be able to interact with my officers and kind of help them get to where they want to go. And I was the crime prevention officer back in 2009, 2010, which was a great opportunity to work with the community and handle all things community relation, and was lucky enough to put some programs into place and make some contacts that I still have today. And it just really showed the value of relationships and community, and those things have always stayed with us, and we're happy to be here.
Inspector Calabrese, let's talk about one of those community activities that's coming up. The second Tuesday in every August nationwide is celebrated as National Night Out. That'll be celebrated here in Mount Pleasant. Can you tell us a little bit about what it is that National Night Out is and how it will be celebrated here in Mount Pleasant?
It's one of our favorite events of the year. And it all started with just this concept of people getting to know their neighbors and getting to know their police department, because everybody working together is going to be the best strategy to deter crime, to make things better. So this started as a way for the police department to just be out there and be present. I think one of the challenges to modern law enforcement is that officers are driving around in cars or working in a station. So that can kind of put a barrier in between them and the public. So we get out of the cars. It's just officers out there in a positive environment. There's not a call for service that they're distracted with or trying to handle, or an issue they're trying to resolve. It's just us being out there and getting to know everybody and letting them get to know us. So we love National Night Out. It's been a very successful program. We've done it all over the town, but I think we've really landed on our home at the Mount Pleasant Waterfront Park, and Officer Martin coordinated that a couple of years ago for the first time in 2019, and it was one of our best that we've ever done. And like I said, it's just a great backdrop to have in our community, to have all the officers there. So we'll be at Waterfront Park on Tuesday, August 2nd from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And we're going to have everything that we have here at the department out on display. Our officers will be there. We'll have some of our SWAT vehicles, our harbor patrol officers, bike patrol, you name it, at the police department, it will be out there. We've also had some great partnerships. So we're going to have live music and jump castles, things for the kids to do. It's truly an event for everybody. We have a recruitment officer that'll be out there. So if anybody's out there looking for their next career or their career, they can come out and get to know us, get to know that recruitment officer. And it's got something for everybody, like I said, and we're really excited to be back.
Everyone's talking about real estate. The conversation continues with Voice for Real Estate podcast. Listen and learn from the experts who call the Carolinas home. Podcast advertising gives your business a voice of authority. Be heard. Advertise on this podcast. Visit voiceforrealestate.com.
You're listening to the Mount Pleasant Podcast.
This is the Mount Pleasant Podcast. I'm Brian Cleary, your host. We bring what you sometimes see on the pages of Mount Pleasant Magazine to our podcast. And today, introducing you to the Public Information Officer of the Mount Pleasant Police Department, Inspector Donald Calabrese is our guest. Now, you mentioned recruiting, obviously, and whatever industry you talk about here in the Low Country, whether it's hospitality, radio, whatever it is, staffing tends to be an issue at this point. Is that the case with the Mount Pleasant Police Department as well? And how has recruiting been going for you over the past couple of months and years?
It's been going well. We have the same challenges that everybody else does locally and nationally, but we are proud of the brand that we've created. We're proud of our officers and that relationship we have with our community. So one of the changes that we have implemented was earlier this year, we moved an officer from a position and created a recruitment officer. So this is one officer that's dedicated to recruitment. It's been going very well. Her name is Senior Police Officer Emily Harefield. She's been here for just about 20 years, grew up in the community, and she's really been a smooth transition and a go-to person. And we're going to career fairs and anything that we can do to make sure that people know what the agency has to offer and the benefits that we have. And we have a couple openings still, but we're doing well and chipping away at that. And we're excited for anybody that wants to come and join a great police department. We offer some good benefits. We've just had a wage and compensation study that was implemented through the town. We offer great health insurance, take-home cars, a lot of really good benefits. And as you know from being in the area, it's a great place to be. Not just the Ravenel Bridge, Shem Creek, some of our parks and schools are amazing. So there's a lot of things that we have to offer here in our community that are appealing to applicants.
So anyone in the Mount Pleasant community who reads news reports on a national basis, Chicago, whatever, and you see, police shortages, it's causing problems. Our officers are working 16-hour shifts and things like that. While you might be a little short in Mount Pleasant, we're not seeing that sort of shortage.
Correct. We have a great team, and the officers are out there handling. Patrol is the backbone of our organization. Those are the officers that are handling your 911 calls or taking reports, and that's our priority. So those things will never take a back seat. So those districts are covered. The officers are out there. School safety is a priority. We have school officers or school resource officers in every school. And if there's ever something that comes into place where that school resource officer can't be in the school for court or some other sort of reason, we have systems in place so that it's covered. If an officer, even the chief and the deputy chief, it's not above them to cover a school for a little bit so an officer can take a break. So you have everybody here working together to make safety a priority on the road, in the schools, and everywhere throughout the community.
Since you mentioned the school resource officer, two questions on that. One, because when I was a child, a couple of years ago, it was really recently, but there were no school resource officers when I went to school. I don't know about you yourself. So can you explain the role of the school resource officer? And if you wouldn't mind, toot the horn, because one of your school resource officers was just given a pretty nice award.
Absolutely. Yeah. Officer Ransom Walters, he was recognized as the department's School Resource Officer of the Year. And that was through, it wasn't a one thing that he did over the year. I mean, he is immersed in that school and that community. He coaches in his off time. He's part of the culture there. And he was recognized by the South Carolina Association of School Resource Officers also as their School Resource Officer of the Year, kind of piggybacking off the department's award. So he's recognized, and he is just like all the other officers that are in the schools. They're dedicated to the kids, their safety, and the officers that are assigned to the schools, they have a multi-purpose reasoning for being in there. And some of it is safety, of course, but the other part is just to be a good role model and a mentor to the kids and a good representative of the police department. So they have a lot of different hats that they wear, and certainly safety is a priority, and they make that part of their day and their culture of making sure the doors are shut, security measures are in place. Anybody that's not supposed to be on the campus isn't. But once the doors are closed and they know it's secure, there's such an influence on the kids in a positive way, because they're not generally dealing with criminal matters. So that lets them expand upon that and help guide people, mentor kids. Some of them want to become police officers. We have a Police Explorer program that we offer here at the police department, and that's for students that are 14 years old to 20 years old that are interested in law enforcement. And that's the kind of thing that those school resource officers, they're looking at the students, and if some of them want to go in that direction, they're able to point them into that way, or through their contacts, if it's anything that has to do with town government, or wherever they think that they can best help a student. So it's really a great program, and it gives them a tremendous opportunity to show police officers in the department in a positive light and help them out. So we're certainly proud of Officer Walters. We have almost 20 school resource officers, and they're all equally as committed to those schools. And I think the best way to put it is just that they are part of the culture. They are in the yearbook. They're wearing the uniforms on the spirit days, and they're proud to be in the school, and it works really well to have that close relationship.
Well, let's talk about you yourself for a second, just because when you're a kid, doesn't matter who you are, you want to grow up to be a doctor, nurse, lawyer, fireman, policeman. Was that what it was like for you? Did you know early on that this is what I want to do?
I did, and that's a great transition, because I was working at a little pizza shop, and police officers came in for lunch, and I asked one of the guys, I said, "Dude, what's it like?" And he said, "Well, we have a Police Explorer program." So I joined a Police Explorer post when I was 16, and I just fell in love with the idea of this job and the abilities that you have to influence people and help them, something different every day. So a big part of that program, and the same program that we offer here, is the opportunity to do a ride along. So I just always found it very interesting that you get in a car, you pull out of a driveway, and you don't really know what the next 10 hours or 12 hours has in store. So that was the first thing that kind of got me interested in it. And then you just never know what's going to come up or what opportunity is going to present itself. So I just look at that as a way to keep at my best, because you don't know when that situation is going to arise, and you can have that positive influence or help somebody. So yeah, for me, I was lucky. I know some people find out later in life, and we have career change people that come into the police department. But since I was 16 years old and doing a ride along with the Police Explorers, that was it for me. On my wall here, I still have some of my Explorer things, and my post advisor, he just retired from the police department, and I'm still in contact with him 15 years later. He doesn't really believe that I've been out of high school and college for that long, but that was it for me. So absolutely, once I got hooked into that program, it was it.
If there's a mom or dad watching, listening to us today, or maybe someone in their teens and they're interested in the Mount Pleasant Explorer department, maybe in joining, what is it they would need to do to make that happen?
They can just reach out. They can reach out to me. Captain Pat Carter is our operations commander, and he is running the post right now. We're Explorer Post 510. They're actually out of town in a state Explorer competition. So we're happy to have them out there. So check our social media. You can reach out to the department, to me, to Captain Carter. They meet twice a month, and they cover all different topics, law enforcement related. We provide them with uniforms, and we really give them that true feeling of what it would like to be a police officer. So right now we're meeting 2 Wednesdays a month, and as long as you're 14 years old and have graduated 8th grade up until 20 years old, then you're eligible for the program.
So if it's not through the Explorer program or one other way, maybe it's the big screen. You saw a cop movie and were just taken in by it. So you yourself, let's get to the nitty gritty here. Your favorite cop movie. Give me one or two titles that you thought this is it.
Oh man, I wish I would have prepared for that. Police Academy were always funny. I thought those were pretty comical. I don't know. As a part of me, I just like to go out and do it. Some of the movies are a little goofy and they're fun to laugh at, but sometimes they're not realistic. So for me, it was just that passion that I had when that officer took me on a ride along and really kind of showed me the ropes. So I'll have to get back to you if you can take a rain check on a favorite one. I'll have to think about it.
Maybe it's a good thing that you didn't first say Dirty Harry or something like that, because
right.
Different kind of cop.
Favorite one? Maybe you can recommend one to me.
Well, I have to be honest, and this is a little, well, I just won't go there, but people tell me all the time I look like Clint Eastwood. So Harry Callahan is, Dirty Harry is kind of a favorite of mine, I have to say.
I got you.
We are talking with Inspector Donald Calabrese with the Mount Pleasant Police Department. He is the department's public information officer and in charge of getting the information out as well. But community relations, so important between the police department and its citizens these days. We've talked about National Night Out. Tell us about some of the other things that you do in your role and the police department does in the officers' daily roles to get out and be a part of the community.
One of the things that law enforcement is very involved in is the Special Olympics, and that has been going on since the mid-'80s. There was a Chief LeMunyon is his name, out in Kansas, and he was looking for a way back then to get his officers involved with their community. So he organized a run with maybe a couple officers to raise a little bit of money, and they donated to the Special Olympics, and that was kind of the kickoff to these efforts to raise money and awareness to the Special Olympics. So here at the Mount Pleasant Police Department, we've been involved with them well beyond my 15 years. And some of the things we've done recently are participated in a law enforcement torch run, the actual run. So we ran 7+ miles up in Columbia earlier in May to get some awareness out. And we run the torch into the South Carolina games. We've sent officers up to Columbia this year for a national run where officers across the country were running in short legs from Chicago all the way down to the national games in Florida. So that was pretty cool to be a part of that up there with, like I said, police officers and athletes that have run from Chicago. Coming up this fall, we do a event that we call Cops on the Coop. We've partnered with Chick-fil-A. We're clearly with the cops. Chick-fil-A is the coop, and we have officers up on top of the roof and in the drive-through lanes and athletes out there. And again, it's not just about the money, it's just about the awareness. So we'll be selling t-shirts, handing out some giveaways, and it's a way for people to meet their officers and just learn a little bit more about the Special Olympics. One of the cool things that we've done here in the Low Country is partnered with agencies here in Charleston, Berkeley, Dorchester County. Highway Patrol has helped out a lot, and we try to coordinate everybody on the same day. So we did this last year between all the agencies, there were 11 of them. We raised over $13,000 in that one day for the Special Olympics. So we're planning that now. Look for that in October. And just like everything else, we're trying to make it bigger and better than the year before. So we're really looking forward to that. We do a polar plunge in February. That's been going on since 2015. So we're just about $200,000 since 2015 that we've raised in there. And these are just really fun, good events, and it's just showing inclusiveness and a good partnership with this organization. So we're proud to be a great partner with them.
And another program I know you do from time to time, is it monthly that you do a coffee with a cop?
We do. We don't have them set to monthly, but we've done 2 of them so far this summer. Some of our school resource officers have been helping out. Bryce Gregory, who was the crime prevention officer, he's one of our senior police officers. And this summer, he's been working on Coffee with a Cop. So we've done 2 of those so far at Second State and Front Porch Coffee House. We're trying to get one more scheduled. But that's another way, kind of like we're talking about National Night Out, is just to get to know people, let them get to know us and build those relationships, because they're unique in the way that the officer isn't tied up with anything else. So sometimes you might see an officer you're at the grocery store or wherever, and you think that the officer is not doing anything, but they might be on a call for service or doing something related to their job, and can't take that minute to kind of connect and have that conversation. So again, this gets the officers out of the cars, no distractions, and there's no agendas. We don't have any scripts. Chief Arnold likes to come out, and Deputy Chief Simmons, they're always out and about. So it's a unique opportunity where you get to talk to the officer who's been here for 6 months, everybody in between, all the way up to the chief and the deputy chief who are in charge of our department. So it's a great way for us to go out there and just talk to people and have these good conversations. And they get to know what's going on in the community right from the officers. So those have been really successful. We're trying to partner with Charleston County Library. We've done a few things with them this summer so far, and even if we just do it there and anywhere, coffee is one of those things that you can have and enjoy anywhere, and we always try to take that opportunity to have those events.
We're introducing you to Mount Pleasant's best. That's what we do here on the Mount Pleasant podcast, just like we do in the pages of Mount Pleasant Magazine. I'm Brian Cleary, joined by the Public Information Officer of the Mount Pleasant Police Department. Inspector Donald Calabrese is with us. And Inspector Calabrese, what's the best thing for you about being a member of the Mount Pleasant Police Department?
Just love having the opportunity to help people and do a good job with whatever comes along. It's a unique opportunity where police officers are called to situations where people are often at their worst or typically not having the best day of their life and say, hey, let me call 911 to report this. So I like being able to be that calm and help people in a way that is going to make their situation better or as good as it can be, whatever that looks like. It's just a tremendous opportunity. And I think that's the best part of this job. And our community, the partnerships that we've created, we just appreciate so much because we don't have all of that conflict that you see. And when people go on just throughout the country, I think we just do a really good job of staying true to what our mission is and working on our relationships and enhancing the wellness of our community with those partnerships. And we love our community and we feel that they love us, and it's just a great place to be.
Some people look at police departments through the lens of what they see on TV or on a movie, a TV show. Is there something that you as a police officer always see on TV and just shake your head and go, no, that it's not like that at all? Or do you look and go, well, somewhat, that's kind of realistic?
Yeah, well, we certainly can't solve every crime in 45 minutes or an hour, with a couple commercial breaks. So some of that stuff is tough to watch just because of the logistics of crime scene processing and things like that. But I try not to focus on what's not accurate because I can only control what I can do, what our department can do. And that's why I think the position as public information officer is so important. And we have to take advantage of the technology and the tools that we have at our disposal. So it's kind of a silly thing to say, but we talk about being not only first responders, but first reporters. We have access to all of our own social media platforms, and we're trying to put out all the information that we can. And something that we've done recently in the last 6 to 8 months is started doing what we're calling nice work posts, but sometimes the officers are doing a really good job and people don't always know about that. So whether it's an officer who handled a call that somebody ran away from them and they did a good job catching them, or doing a really thorough investigation, or just a significant arrest that maybe some people in the community don't know, maybe the ins and outs of it. So we're trying to push those out there on our Facebook page and Instagram page, calling it nice work. And that's been nice to be able to give these officers kind of a quick shout out. And not only does it help the officers know that they're being recognized, but it helps the community know that, unfortunately, crime does happen. And while crime prevention is the goal, when crime does happen, the officers are here, they're trained, they're professional, and they're going to do a really good job and make good cases and prosecute them the best they can.
As the public information officer, you have to be the all-knowing, all-seeing person. So I'm going to put you to the test here with a quick cop quiz. Do you know who the police chief of Hawkins, Indiana is?
I do not.
You do not. Do you watch Stranger Things on Netflix?
I have not seen that.
Obviously not.
Yeah.
James Hopper, in case anyone asks you about that. Hawkins, Indiana is the setting for Stranger Things on Netflix. On what cop show were Crockett and Tubbs partners? Taking you back to the 80s a little bit here.
Can I get a multiple choice?
Hill Street Blues, Chips, or Miami Vice?
I don't know any of those. I'm sorry. I'm 0 for 2.
Miami Vice, Don Johnson and those. One others. Do you happen to know the police chief of Springfield on The Simpsons?
Well, that's a little more my wheelhouse. Chief Wiggum does a great job out there keeping the guys motivated. Do you know where all the donut stereotypes come from?
I don't know. I didn't want to go down that donuts road, but
you know what? If we're talking about information and being informed, way back when, people that are running donut shops, they get in 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and before there was a Circle K or a 24/7 gas station, these officers that were walking the beat on the midnight shift, there was nowhere they can go get any coffee, and on the other end, these donut makers are in this shop by themselves in the dark at 2 o'clock in the morning. So naturally, that was a good partnership because the officers had nowhere they could stop and eat and get any coffee, and there really wasn't much security in the world those days. So I don't know what all the stereotypes are out there, but that's where that stereotype comes from. That's how officers and donuts kind of got kicked off.
We could truly only get that from a public information officer, and Inspector Calabrese rises to the occasion.
That's it. But, I always say America runs on Dunkin', not just the police department. So, we do like a donut from time to time, but, we do have a physical standard here at the department. We have to run a PAT course every year. So, if you can have a donut from time to time and still be physically fit, I think those two things can go together.
Guilty as charged with the donuts. I have to say that, and I say it unashamedly as well. Inspector Donald Calabrese, the public information officer with the Town of Mount Pleasant Police Department. Again, we can look forward to seeing you, I'm supposing, on August 2nd at National Night Out.
Absolutely. We're really looking forward to it. We're going to have live music out there. We're trying, I think we're pretty much confirmed that Rob Fowler from News 2 is going to come out and do the weather out there for us. So I think that'll be cool. We've never done that before. They're certainly our good friends right down the street at News 2, and we're looking forward to it. Hopefully can dial up some good weather, and it's one of my favorite events that we do, so we're really excited.
It'll be a big night now that you've got celebrities like Rob Fowler out there. That's a huge get. Congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited.
Inspector Donald Calabrese, our guest today. Again, he's the public information officer with the Town of Mount Pleasant Police Department. You can contact him through their website. He is one of the people that's making a difference here in Mount Pleasant. It's a community we all love, that we love to work in, we love to live in, and that you see each week in the pages of Mount Pleasant Magazine, and you see here as well on the Mount Pleasant Podcast. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for spending your time with the Mount Pleasant Podcast, your community, your podcast. Listen to past and future episodes at mountpleasantpodcast.com.